another couple. The people are doubled up, tripled up in apartments across the city, and this is a part of the invisible homelessness situation that we see in Nashville. And it causes terrible problems that we see throughout the city. The mayor interested in trying to do something about youth violence. Well, this is a huge part of the youth violence problem as well. If people don't have stable places to live, if they're in camps and they're threatened with eviction, wherever they're threatened with eviction, they ultimately, it increases the tensions and the problems within the area. There have been a series of apartments that have been bought out and turned into higher priced housing. Edmondson Manor, for example, and the James Robertson, which still is empty. And all of these people have been forced into other places, often either outside of the county or into literal homelessness.
Now, Mr. Rodriguez, you talk about the statistical information in reference to the homeless population. Give us some information in reference to that and how what we're doing here in Nashville differs from some of the issues, some of the other areas that you might be familiar with.
Yeah, so my focus in my research is national, although in the last year or so I've tried to focus more on Nashville specifically. What's really striking to me is how normalized mass homelessness has become. So in leading up to the 1980s, homelessness was more or less cyclical. It would be tied a lot more to the labor market. When there was a lot of unemployment, there would be a lot more homelessness. When unemployment would go down, homelessness would tend to go down too. But starting in the late 70s, early 1980s, we started to see this sustained mass homelessness. And the bottom floor estimates today are about 500,000 nationally, although it's that's not counting a lot of people, so it's probably over 1 million at least. And so so one question I have is why is it we've gotten used to it. We've adjusted to homelessness having a place in our society at this level, and so we need to do something to introduce it. We need to realize a different ethic, really. But so one there are several approaches being adopted by Nashville to reduce homelessness. I mean, there's more of the preventive side, building affordable housing. That's what a lot of advocates here in Nashville are wanting to do. Once people become homeless, one debate nationally has been how do you what's the best way to get people back into housing? Yeah.
And that's a real problem, you think, that, and you find that Nashville is no different in a real sense from a large number of urban areas, not only large areas, but I would imagine that if you go in Smyrna, you'll find the same kind of issue. Perhaps they might be more intense in Smyrna than they might be in Nashville, simply because Smyrna probably does not have the resources, really does not have the resources to deal with that as part of the population. And so what we want to do, and we're coming to the end of this second segment, what we want to do, we want to start with Howard here, and to talk about this issue of gentrification, because I think that is a real issue. And I think we see all of these great buildings going up in Nashville. We're becoming urban, but in a real sense, a large number of folks are suffering because of it. And so what we're going to do, we're going to take this first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Three minutes. Everything that you know that might be helpful in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here today, dealing with this issue of gentrification. You see, this is what we want. That's how we want to do it. And so all of you have the information in reference to. The only thing I know is that everywhere I go, I think that I'm in New England or somewhere, and I see all of these houses and some of the places that were dilapidated and whatever. You go by now and they've been rebuilt and they've got a nice front to it, and there are different structures and something's going on there, but the same people that once lived there are no longer there. And what happened? And so that's what, that's what I see.
That's what it is.
That's
exactly what it is.
That's why I was attracted to this as an issue here. Because, and so you take about 3 minutes, you take about 3 minutes, you take about 3 minutes and deal with anything that you'd like to deal with this issue of what? Gentrification. Okay? You know, this is the last segment of 3 times 5 is 15 segments we had today. Started at 10:30 this morning. I'm trying to get out of here before 2:30. And everything's gone quite well. What time is it?